and welcome to another MotorTrend comparison, this time with the Kia Sorento X Pro SX Prestige and the Hyundai Santa Fe Calligraphy. With me is MotorTrend Mexico editor Miguel Cortina, and we're going to see between these two which one is best.
Yeah, these two SUVs are very similar to each other. 3 rows, lots of space inside, so we're going to get behind the wheel and tell you all about it.
Okay, in the Kia Sorento, things are immediately louder. I think the NVH perhaps not as improved as it was in the Santa Fe. I think that's the first most notable thing.
Right away, I can feel that this engine, it's pretty powerful for this kind of car. Have a lot of low-end torque, and if you're merging on the freeway or passing cars, it's pretty good for a size like this. It's just smooth, responsive.
This is the X Pro, so it is the off-roady version of the Sorento. So the tires are a little different, the suspension is tuned a little differently. That being said, I mean, it's basically a Sorento still. Oh gosh, that engine, that is working also. And actually, when you drive the Sorento a little more aggressively, that vague, loose steering does get a little better.
And despite this being the car with the off-road tires and off-road look and rugged look, it's very smooth on the road.
There's also paddle shifters, which, why? It's a Sorento. Why are there paddle shifters? But they're here if you need them.
But overall, the Sorento is a very good choice. I mean, you have excellent power, great driving dynamics. Yes, the ride is a little bit jittery. It's the vibrations can be smoothed out a little bit more, and the steering can be a little bit more precise. I think the gearbox also should need a little bit more refinement. But considering all of that, I mean, this is a car that essentially came out in 2021, and when you take that into consideration, this is still a pretty good car, though. All right, so now we're in the Hyundai Santa Fe. Listen to this note. I mean, sounds way more refined than the Kia.
The steering feels a little tighter, responsive, yes. And even while I'm driving, this climate setup here, much easier to figure out because the climate and the volume controls, the radio controls, they are separate. I didn't think that needed to be said, but apparently it does.
Everything from the steering to the suspension to the transmission mapping to the throttle mapping, it's better executed in the Santa Fe. And that's a difference from a 2021 model to a 2024 model. It's those little differences that engineers can make to make the car better and smoother and more refined. And that's exactly what we have in the Santa Fe.
Taking these turns, it feels more planted. The center of gravity is lower. There's still a little bit of roll. I mean, we're in a 3-row SUV. It's not meant to be caned around these turns, but it'll handle a nice turn.
We also have the dual screen setup in the Santa Fe, but I like that we have the transmission lever by the steering column. So that frees up a lot of space in the center console and allows you to have 2 phones. But yeah, I think the Santa Fe does a better job than the Sorento. It just edges over the Sorento in the suspension, in the steering, in the transmission mapping, and that little difference is just, when you combine all of that together, makes a decent difference between both of them.
So we've driven both. Miguel, let's start with the Kia. What did you think?
I think the Kia is a very impressive product, right? You look at it, it looks really nice, it's rugged, it's modern at the same time. You have these very cool DRL lights that, whether you're looking at it at night or during the day, it's very distinguishable, right?
Kia has made such strides from where it was just 10 years ago. Now we get wonderful products like this, the EV9, great stuff. And this came out in 2021, which wasn't that long ago. And in that time, the Sorento has made a name for itself as a mid-sized SUV, but with 3 rows. And in this footprint, pretty rare, because usually they're bigger. right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't see this that often, right? We're used to seeing, bigger cars with more space, right?
I was following you around all day today when we were doing this test, and I could always tell when it was you, even if you were 6 cars away, because of the way this car is styled. And it's not even in a way that is color that jumps out at you, it's earth tones. So it's not flashy, but it is interesting to look at. It's different. Every time I see a new Kia, I always look again because they look so fresh.
I mean, Kia's design has been, outstanding over the last maybe 5 years or so, right?
5 or 6 years, yeah.
We've seen the brand just turn it around, and design has been a big part of it. And here in the Sorento, that's no exception. I mean, you have the tiger nose, right? Remember?
I think it came out around the Telluride, around that time. Remember when the Telluride first came out? Everyone was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then it just got better from there.
And then you take a step back and you look at the profile, and this is very rugged, right? I mean, you have the all-terrain tires. Also, you have blacked out details like the mirrors, this little thing over here, right? Just make it a little bit different compared to everything. I mean, this is a 3-row family SUV, right?
It doesn't, it's not shaped like one though. It's smaller. You wouldn't think. But
you're getting this rugged styling, and that's what families today kind of want, something different, right? Not something traditional.
Yeah, everyone wants something rugged. Subaru has got it down. Obviously, this is not a Subaru, but this is pretty good. It looks like it could actually go and, at least explore some dirt trails at the very least.
Yeah, you won't be able to take this to Moab or rock crawling or anywhere else.
We're not condoning you rock crawl in this SUV, but everything else, I think it could do fine. But that's the outside. The inside has these really nice, visually interesting materials, nice leathers, cool wood. There's a little bit of piano black trim still there. I think that's on its way out. It is just a really pleasant place to sit, though.
Especially in this specific car. I love this combination, this playing of colors inside, right?
Earth tones.
Earth tones, you have beige, you have black, you have the wood like you mentioned. So it's just a very elegant mix that you jump in it and you have like, wait a minute, the steering wheel it's dual tone?
Yeah.
Like, this is something I see on a luxury car, not in a Kia, right?
How did you feel about the climate and the radio combination screen thing? I couldn't figure out how to work that thing.
That's not my, I don't love that either. I think, they made it, they had just some room to work with, and that was the solution, right? What we're talking about is you have a lot of buttons, and then you have to toggle between those two because those are dual function buttons, right?
Right, so, and they're dual function touch screen, which is even worse.
Yeah.
Even more confusing, even more distraction.
And then the volume knob also becomes the temperature knob, right? So you have to be on the volume to be able to turn up the volume, or you have to toggle back to the temperature controls to be able to turn up the temperature.
Yes, that was driving me absolutely insane. That is a ding against the interior of this car, which is otherwise good. Even the second row captain's chairs, comfortable, they can recline, love being back there. And if you need to, there is that third row. It's not the biggest third row in the whole world. It only seats 2, and the seats are kind of low, so your hips are low and your knees kind of go high up. Did you try to get back there?
I did, yeah.
How was it?
I got back there.
Okay, he got back there,
yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
He managed.
But and coming out was also a struggle.
Right.
But, I mean, let's be honest, like this is a 2-row SUV with a third row built in, right?
Yes.
Like you're gonna use the third row for emergencies only, or for small children. Like,
right.
Don't expect to sit any adults back there. And if you do, maybe it's for a quick trip around the city or something, maybe like a 10-minute ride
to the restaurant.
or something like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
It makes sense, because if it were a true 3-row SUV, then they would start eating up Telluride sales, and we don't want that.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's why they have the Telluride.
Yeah,
also,
exactly.
Right? That's a proper 3-row SUV. This is a 2+, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even with those third row seats up, that trunk becomes so small.
Yeah.
Really tiny, almost unusable. You could probably fit grocery bags side by side, and that's about it. But once you put that third row seats down, then the trunk becomes very good.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one or the other.
And remember, both of these cars years ago, they were only 2-row SUVs, right?
Right.
Mid-size 2-row SUVs. And then they were the first ones that started incorporating the third row as standard. And now we see the Highlander, for example, doing that, right? And then there's the Grand Highlander Max came out.
Right.
So, there's this different trend in the industry that's going on. But yeah, I think these two cars, you see it as a 2-row SUVs with an additional 3rd row in case you need it.
Speaking of in case you need, the Sorento does come with 3 different powertrains. There's a gas-only, there's a hybrid, and there's a plug-in hybrid. Today we drove the gas-only version, which I thought the power was adequate for everything that we needed. I didn't have a problem with the power. I had a problem with 2 things, the brakes and the dual clutch transmission. Brakes, little squishy. Go over there it is. Go over that washboard. We can feel the crashiness of the suspension. Definitely get into the cabin. The Santa Fe for sure rides better. I did have a problem with the transmission not downshifting when in sport mode. The dual clutch is fine. It's fast. It does its job. Around town, though, it was a lot of hesitation and hiccuping. Did you see that?
Yeah, it needs a little bit more refinement. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's where the Santa Fe stands out. We'll talk more about it. But yeah, the Kia just needs a little more smoothness, refinement.
Yeah, the brakes, a lot of effort before you get any brake bite. It's squishy.
Yeah.
Squishy. The steering is a little floaty. It's a little vague. And I think because this is the X Pro version, the ride is a little less cushy than other ones. It's not uncomfortable. I just noticed the road more.
This is the X Pro version, the one that's designed to go on trails and like fire roads and things like that, designed to really be off the road. And here on smooth pavement, it might feel a little rough, and even on broken pavement too. I mean, the bounces and the vibrations are well absorbed, but the ride itself can be still a little bit jittery. I think, this car, still as it is pretty good. The powertrain, like you said, a 2.5 turbo engine, 4 cylinders, 281 horsepower.
Thereabouts.
I mean, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Power-wise, you merge on the freeway easily, right? You can pass easily. I think it doesn't hesitate to do any of those functions.
And look, I'll take this any day over that V6 that's in the Telluride. That V6 needs to go. It is old, it's outdated. This one at least feels fresh, efficient. It's a little loud. Like you get into it and the 4-cylinder really gets into the cabin.
Yeah.
Adaptive cruise control though, really nice. I don't know what version of Highway Driving Assist that we are on because they update it so frequently, but this most recent update also adds lane change capabilities. So all you have to do is you turn it on and you signal, and then the car will change the lane for you. You have to keep your hands on the wheel, obviously. This is not a hands-free system, but it's a nice, smooth lane change. It kept itself in the middle of the lane. It kept follow distance, very organic. Braking felt nice. I trusted the system. It really takes the fatigue out of driving on long highway distances.
And only a couple of years ago, we were seeing that only on high-end cars, right?
Yeah.
Or Super Cruise or...
On like S-classes only on, and now it's on a Kia.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, it's unbelievable how this trickle-down technology has made it to family crossovers, right?
Right.
And for the price, too.
For the price.
I mean, under 50K.
Under 50K. So is this one, by the way. So now we can talk a little bit more about the Santa Fe Calligraphy. This is the highest trim Santa Fe that you can get, gas engine as well. Same engine as this guy, as a matter of fact. As a design, I mean, you remember a time when the Santa Fe was blobby and anonymous? And that is no longer the case.
And that was 6 months ago.
This thing is chiseled, man. They really went to town with the design. I mean, do you have a favorite aspect of it?
I like the attention to detail. I like the H theme that they call it. So You see the H here, right? There's also another H down here. There's another H built into the grille. There's just a lot of H's inside, outside, everywhere. And, I think that's something that stands out, not only in the Santa Fe, but I mean, you don't see this kind of attention to detail in a mainstream SUV these days.
No,
right?
That's
That's something
not
of
a non-luxury mainstream SUV. It's like unheard of.
Exactly.
And they put it here.
Yeah. But I think I like it. I mean, you look at it on the road and you might be thinking, wait a minute, is that a Hyundai? I thought that was a Land Rover, right?
It does look like a Defender from, I think, the nose all the way to the last pillar. There's something very Defender Land Rover about it. When we get to the butt, I don't like the butt.
You don't like the square?
No, it's droopy. It looks ungainly. And I was following you this whole time, and I kept thinking to myself, the rear of that car does not look good, and also the taillight looked like dog bones. Thankfully, though, when you're inside of it, you don't look at it at all, and the inside is such a good place to be.
It's really nice. It's spacious. this trim specifically, the Calligraphy being the top trim, you'd expect to have every single feature at
I expect it to be shiny, and it's not. It's demure.
Yeah,
Mindful.
but that's kind of like, you know, I think it goes well with the car.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, especially, this is an all black interior. You can get different stylings and combinations, but this one specifically, it does look a little bit more Land Rover-esque, I think.
It's understated. You know, it doesn't feel like it has the need to show off or be blingy or compensate for anything. It's just nice, quiet, good materials, comfortable, does its job. Way better climate and infotainment layout than in the Sorento, though. It's less confusing. There's not a dual action thing that you have to figure out. It's still not amazing. It's still very touchscreen heavy, but there are a few hard buttons. And again, it doesn't make you choose between functions.
Yeah, that's I think it's the big difference. Also, because you have the shifter in the steering column, that takes away a lot of space from the center console, right?
And also in the Santa Fe, you get climate control in the second row.
Yeah.
It's really comfortable back there. You even get climate control in the third row. I was so shocked when I climbed back there and saw that.
You get air vents in the back, which you don't get on this one, right? There's USB ports back there, which there are in the Sorento too. But you know, I think Hyundai didn't forget about the people in the third row.
No, definitely not. I mean, package-wise, they are the same size. They feel the same size at least. Did you also have trouble getting in and out of that third row?
Yeah, I felt a little bit better on this one. I felt like the second row seats do move forward a little bit more, but it was a struggle. Don't get me wrong.
Right, it's still not a true third row, which we have outlined already. And same as this car, with the third row up, the trunk is little. However, driving this, I felt better about driving it. You know, it just felt fresher, newer, better screwed together. The brake pedal felt better. The transmission was far less hesitant, and it was more refined downtown.
Absolutely. The ride too, the steering was more precise, well balanced, more feedback. You know, despite the difference in tires, I think the ride in the Santa Fe was much smoother, no?
Did this one feel heavier to you?
Not really, no.
Oh, really? This one felt a little heavier.
Oh, really?
Planted. The weight felt like it was lower.
Planted, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, planted, yes. You know, we rode on the same pavement back to back, both cars, right? And I also thought the Santa Fe was quieter than the Kia.
Yes, it appears that there is more NVH addition in this vehicle than this one. I had a better time driving this. I didn't love the cruise control in this one as much. This one loved to put me very close to oncoming traffic, which was unnerving. This one I trusted more, this one I did not trust as much. Very strange to me because we're the same system.
And you know, in the Santa Fe, when you turn on the cruise control or adaptive cruise control, you'll see it on the head-up display how the road turns, and you know, that also follows on the head-up display. So little things like that, graphics like that, you know, just make it a cooler experience.
Yeah.
That again, it's a mainstream SUV, right?
It is.
Some of that you see on a Tesla or, you know, in much more advanced cars.
Right. Also, this under $50K. I think between these two is only a difference about $400. So, you know, that's like paint. Basically, that's what the difference is. So they're basically the same price. They have the same engine, basically the same interior capacity, but we can only pick one winner. And after much consideration, we have decided that the Santa Fe is the better of these two vehicles. We think it is a better place to put your money. It is better value, and it's just newer, more modern, better assembled.
Absolutely. After driving them back to back, I thought the Santa Fe was just much better put together.
Yeah, it feels newer. This is 2021, technically, because that's when it came out. This is now, there have been updates, and this has them.
It's more refined, it's smoother, it's more precise, right? It just has a little bit more advantage and edge on it.
Just a little.
Enough to make it a difference.
It's subtle, but it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that concludes this comparison test. For more details, head over to MotorTrend.com and also check out our buyer's guide pages for the most detailed rundown of both these vehicles that you'll find anywhere on the internet. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.